Hi guys, right now I'm in Istanbul, Turkey, and in today's video I'm going to give you the very best tips of how you can travel this beautiful city on a budget. And I mean extreme budget. These tips are very specific to Istanbul because I really believe that this is such a magnificent city and you can explore it on a budget. My first and number one tip, which is going to save you by far the most money, is to stay with couchsurfing hosts. Istanbul is incredible for staying with couchsurfing hosts. It's the city full of hosts who are very happy to introduce you to the Turkish culture, to introduce you to their city, to welcome you to their home and show you their hospitality. Also, couchsurfing being very popular here in Istanbul, it is incredibly easy to find a host here. This was a very last-minute journey for me coming to Istanbul. Last minute I decided I wanted to travel to Istanbul for 1 week, and I sort of just posted on couchsurfing. I selected the days on which I wanted to come to Istanbul. That was before I even booked my flights. So I posted, bear in mind it was A, long stay. Well, a week feels like quite a long stay for couchsurfing, and B, it was very last minute and I got over 100 offers to stay with hosts in Istanbul. I am aware that if you're a girl, you might get more offers than if you're a guy, but believe me, I've spoken to many of these hosts. They hosted guys, they're happy to host guys. So I think whether you're a guy or a girl in Istanbul, you will find a host, no problem, and you can be as last minute as you wish with your requests. I just put like an open request and the hosts came to me, which is one amazing thing about Istanbul. I also have to say that when I was looking on booking.com for last minute accommodations for this 1 week, the cheapest accommodation that I was able to find that didn't have like terrible reviews was £200. So that was the cheapest option, and the location was not ideal. So that's already me saving all this money that I would pay on accommodation, which is actually the most expensive part of traveling. Your flights and your accommodation are the most expensive, and I was able to save all this money just for staying with hosts. In the end, I decided to stay with 2 hosts over this 1 week. One host at the Asian side and one at the European side. One thing, if you don't know about Istanbul, is that it's split between 2 continents, and I really wanted to diversify my experience and also meet with more than one host. I thought it would be better to spend a few days at the Asian side and a few days at the European side. Right now I have a private room with this host that I'm staying. I am, by the way, staying with a host, but my host is currently working, so I'm home alone. How incredibly kind and generous that is. He has trust in me. We spent a lovely day exploring the Asian side of Istanbul yesterday, and now I'm just staying at his home working and filming. Make sure you ask about the living conditions, make sure they suit you. You can ask for them to show you the house, and also just get a feeling of how they are. You'll feel much more secure and you'll feel a lot more comfort once you have this more personal, video connection with them, not just a plain text. Public transport in Istanbul can be very affordable, especially if you come from other countries in Europe. Currently, the economy in Turkey is not good at all, and I feel really bad for Turkish people. I hope they recover from it. But when it comes to money, Turkish lira, it's not worth much, sadly, for them. But for somebody coming from the UK or the US, Germany, Turkey will seem as pretty affordable destination. When it comes to public transport, buses and metro are very affordable. You have to first purchase an Istanbul travel card to use public transport, but there will be many ticket machines from where you can get this, or you can get this card from a kiosk. You can ask any random kiosk. That's where I got mine from. However, you can also, there will be like a ticket office, you can ask there. I paid 55 liras, I think, for my card, and then you top it up. And each bus ride or metro ride, I believe no matter how far it is, it will be only 7 liras. So you can top this up at a kiosk, you can top it up at the ticket machine, you just tap it, you put your cash, and then you have credit on your card, and then you go on the bus, you tap it as you go on the bus, so it shows you how much money it has taken from your account and shows you the current balance after the money has been taken. It's incredibly affordable to travel this way in Istanbul, and also this public transport in Istanbul is really good. Most buses are pretty modern, you know, they will have a display with all the stops, you'll know exactly where you are going, it will be easy for you to tell where you have to get off. However, sometimes those displays don't work, so I always suggest you having some maps on your phone so you can double check. It's very simple, very easy. However, on the times where there are no reliable bus connections, or you simply have a lot of luggage that you are traveling with, or you just don't feel comfortable taking the bus for whatever reason it might be, and you would prefer to get a taxi. For taxi tips, to save you as much money as possible, use the yellow taxi. Yellow taxis are the cheapest in Istanbul. They are everywhere, they are very popular, you will see them everywhere. You can pick one up from the street. However, I recommend you use the BiTaksi app. I'll leave the name on the screen right here. But Istanbul has a taxi app called BiTaksi. It's a Turkish version of Uber. Uber also works in Istanbul, but I prefer the local BiTaksi app because I feel like it's cheaper. I always find local taxi apps to be cheaper than Uber. And it's so easy to navigate. If you know how to use Uber, guarantee you will know how to use BiTaksi. You can request it from the airport and the driver will literally come to you. The driver could see on the app where I was standing, and he was parked a bit further, and he came to me and he was like, "Oh, Ola, I can see you on the app, come with me." And it is the most affordable taxi that you can find, providing you will choose the yellow one, not the blue one or the black one. The black one is big, and unless you travel with a lot of people, it's not really worth it. And the blue one, I think, is more modern, but it's more expensive, so there's no point. Just stick to the yellow taxi. Don't get scammed with taxi scams. These things sadly happen all the time in Istanbul. Taxi scams here are very common. The general rules that you can follow to make sure you don't get scammed is use a reliable company. So the BiTaksi app is a pretty reliable company. Actually, as I was exiting the airport, I was on the phone trying to book my BiTaksi app. Some random guy from the street came to me and said, "Taxi, taxi," and I was like, "Oh no, thank you, I'm ordering on the app." And he was like, "Yellow taxi, black taxi, it's same, come with me, I'm a taxi driver." And I knew this guy wanted to scam me. So yeah, be careful not to go into any random taxi. Make sure they always have their meter on before you start the journey, so then there's no confusion over your fare at the end. You'll have the meter, you'll know exactly what you are paying at the end. But even with BiTaksi app, you have to make sure that they take you the right way, they don't use diversions, and they don't go around some really weird long area. It actually happened to me with BiTaksi, with the yellow taxi. The driver from the airport, it literally took one glance, you know, because it was my first time in Istanbul, so I was quite curious to look out from the window and look at the views, look at my surroundings, and not looking at my map on the phone. For him to not take the right exit on the dual carriageway and keep going straight. And as you know, with dual carriageways, like, you can't make a U-turn immediately, you have to go further and further, and then you'll be able to take the next turn. And he had on his Google Maps the turn that he should take, and he knew it. And I'm 90% sure, not 100%, but 90% sure that he has done so to get more money out of the fare. My estimated fare for the taxi that the app said from the airport was 210 liras, and I ended up paying 247 liras, something along those lines. So yeah, if you want to save money on taxis and you don't want to use public transport, not only make sure you book the taxi from the taxi app and use the yellow taxi with a meter, you should also have your Google Maps ready and watch where they are going and make sure they don't take weird diversions, they don't take you around the small streets. He actually tried to do it the second time as we were getting closer to my host's house. He was trying to carry on going straight when it was clear we were supposed to be turning right, and his map was saying it, so was mine. So I told him, because at that point I was getting quite annoyed, and he was like, sorry, and he not tried to do it again since. Another very popular scams that happen here is the famous shoe cleaner scam. Actually, I'm going to make a whole video about the most common scams to look out for in Istanbul, because there's quite a few, and as long as you know what to watch out for, you'll be totally fine. But it will certainly save you a lot of money if you don't allow yourself to get scammed. Think strategically about the flights and book the cheapest fares possible. My trip was very last minute and there were only limited times of when I could travel, and I noticed that my flight here was very affordable, but coming back was really quite expensive. But that was only because I didn't pre-plan and I booked last minute, and I couldn't be quite flexible with my dates. So hopefully you are not in the same position, you can be more flexible and you can pre-plan it a bit better, and just book your flights in advance. Ideally use Skyscanner, or you can also use the website called Fly for Free. Both of them I will put here. Skyscanner, you can search the whole month or even the whole year to find the cheapest fares, and I guarantee you, if you can be a bit more flexible with your dates and your planning, you can find some incredible cheap flight deals. And combining flight deals with the fact that you don't have to pay for accommodation when you get here if you use couchsurfing can really mean that you can travel to Istanbul for less than £100 for a week. And that's not a clickbait, it's a fact. I've already mentioned Istanbul's current economy is maybe not the lowest it's ever been, but it certainly is not looking great for the Turkish people, who find it very difficult to travel to other countries because their money is not worth much. Their currency, even if they have good jobs, they still don't earn much when you convert them to British pounds, for example, or to euros, it's the same. But for people who earn in euros, US dollars or British pounds, they can come to Turkey and get a lot more for their money, which means you can really eat cheap here. With eating, also visiting attractions, using public transport and staying at a host using couchsurfing, you can really travel to Istanbul for less than £100. Flight, I think, would be the most tricky. That's why I suggest to use Skyscanner or this other website. Fly for Free shows you more specific dates and the best options that other users have been able to find. Some very unique, cheap steals, and yeah, you can find some very good budget options and just enjoy this magnificent city, which has so much to offer. And even 1 week, to me, it doesn't feel like enough. Sometimes I look for travel guides and they say, oh, 2-3 days in Istanbul is enough. They're lying. They are lying. This city is huge and has so much to offer, so I suggest spending at the very least 5 nights here. But that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed these travel tips. I hope you stay safe, and I hope to see you on some new adventures, and I hope you come along on this journey with me. I make travel videos, I make travel tips, I make travel videos, vlogs, everything of that matters. So if you are here for the first time, please subscribe to me, and there's a lot more of these videos to come in the future. If you have any specific requests or any questions, leave them in the comments below. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!